PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele, and what a good show we have for everyone tonight, as we are going to be doing our recap show, and it's definitely going to be a good game, and unfortunately what happened at the end, but we'll talk about that later on in the show. And there's a lot of good topics and good conversation that we're going to have about this game, but let's get into it right here, right now on Vegas Hockey Hub. Now, I want to mention to everyone watching all around the world, go to PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. Check out all the content we have on there. We have about a dozen shows on PRConnectionsRadio.com. So go to the website. We have links to every single show. So if you want to check them out, I highly recommend doing so. And also go to the YouTube channel, PR Connections Radio. We upload every single show to the YouTube channel. So if you want to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any episode of any show on PR Connections Radio, including Vegas Hockey Hub, I would highly recommend doing so. If you want to go over to the Vegas Hockey Hub YouTube channel, we try to upload shows daily and try to upload content every single day to the Vegas Hockey Hub YouTube channel. So if you want to like this video and share to all your friends all around the world, it would be much appreciated here on Vegas Hockey Hub. If you want to go to our social media pages, we are everywhere at Vegas Hockey Hub. We are on all social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We are everywhere at Vegas Hockey Hub. And if you want to follow your host, I am on social media as well at Ian Rachiele 18. I am right down there. So if you want to click the link down there, I will also have all my social media links down below. So it is a really good situation we're going to be talking about with the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, unfortunately, the game did not go as planned. Unfortunately, a W was not in the works for your Vegas Golden Knights. But let's talk about the game overall. So in the net, you had Logan Thompson. And this is going to be kind of a reoccurring theme we've been talking about here on the show. But unfortunately, Logan Thompson comes up on the unfortunate loss column in this game. I mean, I will say when it comes to Logan Thompson, it feels like the last couple of games, Logan Thompson has just not had the great momentum. You know, it really feels like Logan Thompson just hasn't had the good stride. It really hasn't had any backing when it comes to offense. I mean, it feels like the defense has been holding firm, and Logan Thompson has not been doing bad at all. In fact, you can make an argument that if Logan Thompson had a little bit more scoring for the Vegas Golden Knights, maybe, just maybe, it would be a better outcome. But no, when it comes to Logan Thompson, I could actually look at the last couple of games he has done, and he has not done bad. Like, it hasn't done terrible. He hasn't been horrible. But yeah, the shutout against Washington, that really wasn't his fault. Vegas just couldn't put the puck in the back of the net. He also had the game in Anaheim where they kind of let up and took their foot off the gas in the third period. The first two periods, Logan Thompson was doing really well. And then his last win was a couple of games ago, and that was Winnipeg. So I look at Logan Thompson's last couple of starts, and I don't blame him for those losses. Because Logan Thompson, if you watch all the games, he really hasn't been at fault for what's going on. In fact, I blame more of the offense, more of the passive-aggressive, more passive offense that we've had lately. But let's get into the overall game here. And we're talking about the Vegas Golden Knights and the game that we're talking about right here, right now. So to begin the game, and this is going to be a fascinating part with Vegas, because this was a game that kind of started out slow, similar to what happened a lot of time. The first 10 to 12 minutes, there was some good passing, and there was a few opportunities here and there. But, man, the beginning of this game just really was sluggish. It just seemed like there was a really slow pace with the Vegas Golden Knights. And I'll give credit to the opponent as well. There was slow pacing on their part as well. But it just seemed like for the Vegas Golden Knights, they haven't been as energetic. They haven't been fast paced. They haven't been, let's go down there and we're going to score, 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 score. It just seems like the first period for a good portion of the year, it seems like they're trying to collect their bearings. Like they're trying to build up momentum throughout the game, and it just sometimes goes against them. And in this game, unfortunately, it did. You had a slashing penalty by William Karlsson in the first period. And I will say that, yes, it was definitely an unfortunate situation. Owen Tippett or William Karlsson, it was a slash on him, and it created a power play opportunity, which Owen Tippett, who was the guy who got slashed by William Karlsson, he would take advantage on this, as Owen Tippett would have his 7th goal of the season, assisted by Cam Atkinson and Travis Senheim. And I will say about Owen Tippett, he has definitely become one of the notable bright spots for the Philadelphia Flyers. Keep in mind that Owen Tippett was brought over in a trade, and he was kind of given a second chance, a second opportunity with this organization. So I will say, when it comes to Owen Tippett, I like the fact that, he was playing in Florida. It was given really a second chance to come to this organization and try to do better. And hey, so far, 7 goals on the year for Owen Tippett. He made a 1-0 game against your Vegas Golden Knights in this situation. So Owen Tippett makes it 1-0 at the end of the first period, and Vegas is down 1-0. And it just kind of made the situation a bit weird. But hey, you know what? The Vegas Golden Knights, they could turn it around, right? 1-0 deficit, that's not a big deal. They will come back and try to win this game. Well, not even 1 minute into the second period, Tyson Forrester, with his first goal of the season, assisted by Owen Tippett, who we just talked about half a minute ago, and Travis Senheim with his second assist of the game, made it a 2-0 game against Vegas. And it just seems like the young guys in with this organization is doing better and better and better. And as much as I love talking about Vegas on this show, I have to give a little bit of props to the opponent. I mean, they are 9 wins on the year. They're above 500. I mean, this is wild for a team that a lot of people expected to be under 500. So for an organization that a lot of people doubted, and rightfully so, they were doubted to begin the year. They kind of thought they were in a rebuild, kind of in a staging period there. The fact that this organization is doing good, like I said, 9 wins on the year, above 500. So yeah, 2-0 for this team as they were going up against Vegas. But when in doubt, who do you trust for the Vegas Golden Knights? Of course, you trust Wild Bill. You trust William Karlsson, and that's exactly what they did, as William Karlsson, with his 9th goal of the season, to be assisted by Jonathan Marchessault to make it a 2-1 game for the Vegas Golden Knights. And I will say, for William Karlsson, he has undoubtedly been one of the best players Vegas has had all year. William Karlsson has definitely stepped up his game. He's done a lot of good things for the Vegas Golden Knights. And yeah, I have to give a lot of credit to William Karlsson, because this is a guy who a couple of years ago, people were doubting heading into this, right? There was a lot of people doubting what the Vegas Golden Knights were going to do with William Karlsson. He had a gigantic cap hit. He was a middle 6 forward. But the last 2 seasons, William Karlsson has undoubtedly been a good player for Vegas. He has been one of the best players for your Vegas Golden Knights. So for William Karlsson, he has undoubtedly been one of the best players, and with his 9th goal of the season, assisted by his misfit line mate, Jonathan Marchessault, made it a 2-1 game. And after a roughing penalty on William Carrier, the chaos would ensue about halfway into the second period, as Chandler Stevenson would get a match penalty for his hit on Garnett Hathaway. And watching the play back, I'm not going to excuse it. I'm not going to try to make excuses for Chandler Stevenson. It was a boneheaded decision. I really did not like what Chandler Stevenson did here. It really didn't benefit Vegas. In fact, it actually cost Vegas when it comes to what they were trying to do. I mean, you're down by 1, and Hathaway didn't really even get into the goalie. So he was near the crease. Mark Stone was to the right. And then Chandler Stevenson took offense and cross-checked him in the face and cause Hathaway to go down. Now, there's going to be people who are going to say, oh, he hit him in the shoulder. Oh, he hit him, in his neck. Well, anytime you hit somebody up high in the NHL and you pretty much cause a scrum with both teams involved, you're going to get a match penalty. So for Chandler Stevenson, it was rightfully deserved for him to get a match penalty. Now, we don't know what else is going to happen. We all know with match penalties, the NHL is going to look at it. They're going to review it. We all understand that. But when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, when it comes to Chandler Stevenson, I'm not going to try to excuse it. I'm not going to be biased. And I'm not going to be a Jack Edwards in Boston. I'm just going to call it how I see it. Chandler Stevenson, a really dumb penalty by Chandler Stevenson. It really shouldn't have happened anyway. And here's an interesting thing. The Flyers were on the penalty, actually got a power play because of the cross-checking. So Chandler Stevenson got the game misconduct. He's kicked out of the game, but his cross-checking had to be served by Paul Cotter. So Paul Cotter was in the penalty box. Philadelphia gets a power play, and thankfully for your Vegas Golden Knights, they failed to execute. So for Chandler Stevenson, it's actually a good thing that they killed off the penalty kill, because it would have been an unfortunate situation if they had scored one more goal and now Vegas is down 2 because of a match penalty that Chandler Stevenson caused. So a few minutes later in the second period, Jonathan Marchessault with his second goal, his 8th goal of the season. So about 5 minutes left in the second period, Jonathan Marchessault with his 8th goal of the season, assisted by Jack Eichel and Shea Theodore. So this ties the game up with less than 5 minutes in the second period. It was a nice setup by Jack Eichel. Shea Theodore, good on his part. And for Jonathan Marchessault, he doesn't really rack up a lot of assists. In fact, he only has 4 assists on the year, but 8 goals for Jonathan Marchessault. That William Karlsson, Jonathan Marchessault have really been 2 of the bright spots here in Vegas. But yeah, Jonathan Marchessault, 5 minutes left in the second period, makes it a 2-2 game for your Vegas Golden Knights. The unfortunate part is that not even half a minute later, Sean Walker with his 3rd goal of the season. It was a good shot from high. It was a good shot from Sean Walker. It was up in the blue line. Nick Seeler and Sean Courtier with the assist, and they are now back up by 1. Vegas is now down by 1 with 4 minutes left in the second period. And Sean Walker, brought over from the LA Kings in that massive trade that involved Cal Peterson, Ivan Provorov. And yeah, for Sean Walker, he has definitely taken advantage of a new scenery for him. Because a lot of people remember that Sean Walker was a longtime staple of the LA Kings. He had been there for about 4 or 5 years up to this point. So for Sean Walker to now move over to Philadelphia, and the fact that he is a veteran on the defensive pairing, that's a good job for Sean Walker. But yeah, so 3rd goal of the season for Sean Walker. They're now back up by 1. And then with less than 1 minute in the second period, oh, here we go. 2nd goal of the game for Jonathan Marchessault to tie it back up with less than 1 minute in the second period, assisted by the captain, Mark Stone, and Shea Theodore, his 2nd assist on the night. And Jonathan Marchessault, and he really doesn't get a lot of credit for this. He doesn't get enough credit for this. Jonathan Marchessault is clutch when it matters. Like, Jonathan Marchessault is one of the best guys at putting your team in a good situation. So I will say for Jonathan Marchessault, his 2nd goal of the game, his 2nd goal in the second period, would tie Vegas back up at 3. Now, to begin the third period, Alex Pietrangelo and Garnet Hathaway would get into it. In fact, they would have a little bit of a shoving match between Pietrangelo and Hathaway. Keep in mind, Hathaway had that I want everyone to keep in mind, Hathaway had that match penalty with Chandler Stevenson in the second period. So it's fascinating that he also had a roughing penalty against Pietrangelo halfway in the third period. So the fact that it was the same guy, it was Pietrangelo, that's a bit of an interesting situation. And then Philadelphia, I think, had 4 penalties in the span of a couple of minutes. Sean Walker with a holding penalty, Travis Courtney with a holding penalty, Scott Lawton with a cross-checking penalty, and then Morgan Frost with a tripping penalty. So you're going to assume that the Vegas Golden Knights would have capitalized on all of these penalties, right? That all of these penalties, Vegas would capitalize on it. And in fact, they did. They had one power play goal in the 5 opportunities they had on the power play. Now, for the Vegas Golden Knights to just score one power play goal on a huge amount of opportunities, I'm not going to sit here and say that that's a good thing or a bad thing. What I'm going to point out to you is that that's kind of abnormal for your Vegas Golden Knights. The fact that this is a team that normally does pretty well on the power play, so the fact that they only went 1 for 5 is a bit surprising. Now, later in the third period, after a Paul Cotter penalty, the Philadelphia Flyers had a couple of chances to actually put the puck in the back of the net, but Philadelphia just would not get the job done. They did not do what they were supposed to do, and it would go into overtime for the Vegas Golden Knights. They'd be tied at 3 heading into overtime. And then the unfortunate event that ended up happening in overtime, as you would have Jack Eichel, he was skating in his own zone. He got the puck from Logan Thompson, and he would give up the puck not even 1 minute into overtime to Sean Courtier, and he would just take the puck and go, "Oh, I thank you." And he would just shoot it right past Logan Thompson for the game winner, as the Vegas Golden Knights would lose 4-3 in overtime. A very unfortunate situation for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, the overall stats in this game for your Vegas Golden Knights, we're just going to talk about it here on Vegas Hockey Hub, doing our recap shows here as we do on Vegas Hockey Hub on PR Connections Radio. And man, when it comes to this game in particular, Vegas Golden Knights had 31 shots on net as opposed to 38 for the opposing team. The opposing team had 18 hits compared to Vegas's 16, so they were out hit, they were outshot, and the Vegas Golden Knights had double the amount of penalty minutes, 23 penalty minutes for Vegas, only 10 for the opponent. And the faceoffs were kind of neutral. Philadelphia 51%, Vegas 49%. I mean, let's be real, that's pretty much near dead even when it comes to Vegas and when it comes to Philly. And then the rest of the stats that we're kind of going to go over in this game, you also have the fact that the Vegas Golden Knights went 1 for 4, but Philadelphia went 2 for 4. So the Vegas Golden Knights only stopping 2 power play opportunities is a bit puzzling, considering the Vegas Golden Knights are normally pretty effective on the penalty kill. Block shots were exactly even at 26 for each team. And the takeaway and giveaway is alarming for Vegas. Vegas had 11 giveaways compared to 6 takeaways. So that means that Vegas almost doubled the amount of times they gave the puck up versus taking the puck away. And I think that's actually pretty alarming compared to what Vegas has done throughout the year. The Vegas Golden Knights last year weren't really known for their sloppy play when it comes to their offensive zone, being in the neutral zone. But unfortunately, in this game, that was a reoccurring theme here. The Vegas Golden Knights just gotten really sloppy when it comes to their takeaways. And I will say that the Vegas Golden Knights, 11 giveaways in this game, that's something that Bruce Cassidy and the Golden Knights organization are going to have to work on, because having almost double the amount of giveaways is not good for Vegas. If you're going to keep doing that, you're not going to win in Vegas if you have nearly the double amount of giveaways versus takeaways. And as you see, here is the season record for the Vegas Golden Knights. And you know what? Vegas, still one of the best teams in the Western Conference. In fact, in the Pacific Division, they still hold on that lead. I understand Vancouver. I understand LA. They're kind of creeping up on Vegas with every loss that Vegas has. But keep in mind, with a overtime loss, that is 1 point for Vegas. And as anyone who watches hockey will know, 1 point is extremely valuable in the NHL. So 1 point can separate you from being a top seed and being a number 2 seed. 1 point can separate you from being a Central Division 2 or 3, and then being a Central Division wild card. And even 1 point can separate you from being a wild card and being out of the playoffs. Just go ask Vegas 2 years ago. So when it comes to the season, the Vegas Golden Knights definitely needed all the points they can get. They wish they had 2, but they will settle for 1 in this crushing overtime loss that they had tonight. And the Vegas Golden Knights, I will continue to mention this, they just looked sluggish for majority of the game. There's no nice way to put it. The Vegas Golden Knights just don't look like they're energetic. They don't look like they're running on all cylinders right now. I mean, when I watch the offense, it just seems like they're not doing what they need to do. And then for the defense, I want to mention this very quickly just because I can. Man, this defense is almost at full strength, but it seems like every time they get a player back, somebody else is going to get hurt, right? Martinez was out for a little bit. He came back. Pietrangelo, he was out for a little bit. He came back. White Cloud, he was hurt to begin the year. Now he's come back. Like, this has been a team that seems like no matter what happens, they are going to lose somebody. That somebody is going to get hurt. Somebody is going to be taken out of the lineup. We have seen guys like Braden Bahal, Caden Korzak be promoted to the NHL and then get sent right back down. On the forward, same for Jonas Raunbjerg. He has also been sent up and sent down multiple times. So I look at the defense and I say, if you could be fully healthy, if you could have all 6 lines for Vegas, right? If you could have Martinez and Pietrangelo, McNabb and Theodore, and White Cloud and Haig, because that's really the problem Vegas has right now. It's just, it seems like the lines are shifting, that every time somebody gets hurt, someone has to take their place. We even saw with the offensive lines, when people have gotten hurt, like Stevenson and Waugh earlier, that kind of affected the chemistry that Vegas is building. So I know Bruce Cassidy, he's a very smart guy. He's going to take care of it. Don't get me wrong. I trust what he's going to do. But it just seems like if Vegas can get everyone on board, if Vegas can have all 20 of their starters and all of them be pretty much together at the same time, then the Vegas Golden Knights will be unstoppable. But the more injuries that are stockpiling for Vegas, keep in mind that one of their defensemen is out right now. Ben Hutton had to be in the game as a third defensive pairing. So when Ben Hutton's playing or Braden Bahal's playing, it just reminds you that they are not at full strength, that your defense is not all together. So I will say for the Vegas Golden Knights, they definitely need to work on it. And I trust that Bruce Cassidy will get the job done. He will fix it long term. Now, we have to look at the road trip. They have 2 games on the road trip left, and it'll definitely be fascinating to see how Vegas does, because in a couple of days, they have to continue their road trip, and it'll be in the same state, actually, as the Vegas Golden Knights are going to be taking on a former Stanley Cup champion. So I look at Vegas, and I see what they're going to do. That's going to be a 4 o'clock game. So definitely for everyone here on the Pacific time, that's 4 p.m. If you're Central time, it's 6 p.m. But yeah, so for the Vegas Golden Knights taking on a former Stanley Cup champion, and Aiden Hill is probably going to be in net. Let's just be real. Logan Thompson, Aiden Hill, I know they've mostly been trading off, one start after another. That's something that's definitely going to be happening. And I will say for the Vegas Golden Knights, 4 p.m., and we're definitely going to be doing a recap show on that team and the game recap for them, as we're definitely going to be talking about here on Vegas Hockey Hub. And we have about 5 minutes left here on the recap, so we want to go to Henderson for just a quick minute, because the Henderson Silver Knights have been doing a very interesting job out there in Henderson. I very quickly want to mention it. So the Henderson Silver Knights, which, by the way, are doing a pretty good job right now. The Henderson Silver Knights are doing a stand-up job when it comes to the Henderson Silver Knights. And their recent game that they had We'll talk about it here on the show. The Henderson Silver Knights took on the Abbotsford Canucks, and unfortunately, they lost a 3-2 game for the Henderson Silver Knights. This also comes off the fact that last night they lost 3-2 to Abbotsford as well. So back-to-back losses against Abbotsford after picking up a very clutch victory against the Coachella Valley Firebirds 5-4 on Wednesday. So for your Vegas Golden Knights, that's definitely something they're going to keep a focus on. The fact that Henderson has lost 2 in a row after winning 2 victories back-to-back against Colorado and against Coachella Valley. To drop 2, that is unfortunate. And I will say in those 2 losses that Henderson had, I wouldn't blame them necessarily, like actually getting to watch it. There is some stuff that came up. One of them was an overtime loss, and then the other one was a shootout. So it wasn't like they got blown out. It wasn't like it was a close battle. It was. So on November 17th, when they lost in overtime on Friday, not only were they having Military Appreciation Night, which, by the way, there were some really nice jerseys by Henderson, but it was also the fact that the Henderson Silver Knights, Brendan Bryson, he scored a goal. You also had the fact that you even had Mason Morelli, Gregory Diansenko. There were some really good players that also had contributed, but Brendan Bryson definitely did very well with a 2-goal game. So for Brendan Bryson, the former first-round pick for Vegas, to have a 2-goal game against Abbotsford on Friday. And then on Saturday, when they lost in a shootout, Mason Gearston and Sheldon Rample both scored for Vegas. And I look at what Henderson's going to be doing, and they definitely have a really interesting schedule coming up as they take on Bakersfield and they take on Tucson in back-to-back. So when it comes to Henderson, they have the next 3 games coming up. That'll be a good test for Henderson. And then for Vegas, they have the last 2 games on this road trip that they have to deal with. So this is Vegas Hockey Hub. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. This was our recap show for the most recent game of the Vegas Golden Knights. So until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. Continue watching hockey, go support junior hockey, and go Knights, go.